Hello, Faith. Welcome to the Power Women Wellness Podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm great. It's been so long.
I know. I actually feel like it's a little full circle over here.
I know. It's like I blinked and it's been like a year and a half, but it just feels
Yes,
like it's been an instant.
I know. I know. We'll get started. So we'll just say, what do you do? Give us also behind the scenes. I know you're more than just your work. You have quite the cute family. So tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I help people with chronic symptoms of really any kind, find relief through nervous system regulation. So that is my one of my day jobs. And that's what I kind of show up as on social media, like TikTok, podcast, Instagram, all that good stuff. But behind the scenes, I'm a mom of two. I have two little babies, well, 2 and 4 months. So I feel like that's another, as you know, like full-time job. Yeah. And then I'm just, we just moved here to the UK from Austin, Texas. So I feel like we've been settling in for this like year and almost year and a half. So it's just been like a whirlwind, honestly.
That's amazing. So what do you feel like has changed the most since you've moved to the UK and healthy living? Because I mean, Austin's such a great hub, but has anything crazy changed? Are you outdoors more? I don't know. I know I've been watching your stories a little bit on healthcare and how much it kind of sucks over there, but
Yeah.
what has changed?
So it's really interesting that you say that because Austin is like very much a hub and it's like so much easier in Austin. Like everything is very accessible. And also I think like the circles that like even like you and I were running in, like that was just like the norm. And obviously moving here was a bit of a culture shock because even in like central London where there are like organic shops and more of those like studios that you can go to find kind of like-minded people, it's not the same, even though London is like a huge city. Yeah. So I would actually say one of the things that kind of has balanced out the fact that there's less accessibility here in England is the pace of life in Europe is so much slower. And since I'm like a nervous system focused person in every sense of the word with the work that I do and being a mother and all of that, I found that generally speaking, even without the same kind of access, I feel better in and of myself because there's less of this like go, push attitude and more of a like, let's normalize being with our family, being with friends, having these meaningful connections and just like slowing it down. And it feels very different.
I love that. Okay. So it's true that I know that's obviously a different country, but Emily in Paris, like the whole, I don't know, 4-day weekend, 3-day work week, that's prioritized in a sense.
Well, actually, I think I've seen like the first season of Emily in Paris and then I got
so
pregnant and then it was just like, I got pregnant, had a baby, was nursing, got pregnant, had a baby. So I haven't stopped since then. So I can't even remember what she was showing in the show, but I would
slower pace of life.
It's slower. It's much slower, especially than like especially than I feel like Austin or because I'm from Dallas and I lived in Austin, like it's definitely slower.
Yeah. And it's like little things of actually take like a 2-hour lunch break, take a break versus we're like, oh, we're eating like on our lunch break. So it's just little stuff like that, which I know I can imagine. I don't know why we got to the way we are, but I would much appreciate that. Cause I think if, everyone's slowing down, like you said, you're kind of forced to like, oh, I can actually relax and not stress that I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
So what led you kind of into this career path of nervous system regulation? Is there a little story behind that?
Yes, my story really you and I have talked so much before and I think I started, my healing journey, if you will, for lack of a better word, using functional integrative medicine. I thought that was sort of my endpoint. Like I had been sick for so long, I found integrative medicine and it made such a huge difference in my life. A year of detoxing and replenishing, obviously like this standard, like healing my gut and all that good stuff. And I thought that I was kind of over the hump, like, okay, I finally healed. This was, like the end all be all for me. But I still was kind of walking around with a lot of sensitivities. I felt like I had to take like my handful of 15 supplements a day to kind of like get through the day and have like the perfect 10 hours of sleep and like go to my yoga class and like have the perfect day. But like only if those variables were optimized could I feel good. And it kind of dawned on me like that, like inflexibility in my life, like wasn't for me, like the end all be all. Like I
Yeah.
didn't want it to be
Yeah.
that way. And so that's when I started researching neuroplasticity. I became certified in some different modalities and started practicing with my own brain training. And then it was really working for me. So I kind of just like kept studying and studying. And obviously I felt like a completely different person coming out of it. And then I was like, well, I got to like tell other people about this because I think there are people on all ends of the spectrum, right? Like some people weren't as dysregulated as me, and perhaps it's not the same story, but there are a lot of people who were sick for 20 years. And those are the people who you find like need this extra support alongside the other work that they're doing well to kind of get over the finish line. And I think that it's like what they're really missing. So that's kind of how I got into the work, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right. It's all about taking that holistic approach in every regard. That's not just food. It's not just chiropractic. It's not like, it's never just one thing. It's always a little bit of everything. So I love that you get into that because there is not enough like education around it. And people, I don't even think they realize that that's something that you can like work on. So I still feel like it's newer on the scene, but for good reason, hopefully will continue to grow because it's much needed. So first, walk us through your morning routine. This is everything from what you eat, what do you drink? Are you journaling? Like, what are you doing? Are you implementing any of the nervous system regulation stuff in the morning? Like, walk us through your morning
routine. Before I had my second baby, I think I had like the most beautiful morning routine. No, but I think it's important to touch on because a lot of people think that a morning routine has to be that like aesthetic on TikTok. That's like, this 1 hour of like beautiful everything. And it's just not for most people. And it's like intimidating because people are like, well, I can't do that. And it's like, I can't either. Like, I really, like I have 2 babies. I literally can't do that unless I wake up at like 4 or, so I think, like emphasis on it can be really simple and still highly effective. So obviously the number one thing for me is not reaching for a quick dopamine hit. So not scrolling on the phone first thing, like looking at your email, Instagram, TikTok. Like I just think that's like one of the most important things I teach my clients. And I know it sounds really cliche, but obviously, we could go into all the science behind it. But number one thing I do is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most important things you can do for the brain. It helps your brain focus on the things you do have instead of the things you don't have. This is going to send messages of safety to the nervous system. So the first 2 minutes is what am I grateful for? And it's usually like that I can sit up, that I woke up, that I exist. Not like it doesn't have to be, whatever, some big, huge thing. Like the fact that you're alive is incredible. So it's more like, how can I make, every single thing that I already have that people look over all the time, like a massive, huge highlight in my day. So it's gratitude. It's breathing. So like just oxygenating, make sure like I start like with some diaphragm breathing so that I can like make sure that I'm really breathing into my diaphragm throughout the day. And then I set intentions. So intentions are a really fantastic way to prevent anxiety throughout the day and just stay focused and choose differently in the moment. So I set intentions and then that's it. That's like 5 minutes. And sometimes that's with my baby while I'm nursing her. Sometimes, it's not always alone. I would love to have like an hour, but that's not my reality anymore. It used to be.
I will say that's a perk of nursing. It also forces you to slow down a little bit. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, it does. What do I have for food? We just have, what do we eat? We have green, I know it sounds cliche. We have green juice every morning. We don't, in Austin, we used to get it delivered. So obviously now we don't, it's not the same. So I bought like this nice juicing machine and we make juice every other day, in bulk. And we drink a big thing of green juice first thing. And then, we have eggs and avocado and bread and coffee. Everything here is really simple. It's just whole food. So instead of like creamer, it's just like raw whole milk. Instead of a special kind of bread, it's like fresh baked sourdough that like the person makes and you buy. There's like not very like anything in a box. Like it just is what it is. Like this cow made this milk, here you go. And so, there's not, but it, my gut feels very happy for it and I'm really grateful for it. So yeah, it's like very like stripped back and simple, but highly effective.
I love that. No, yeah, it's totally different. I think that's why I love like interviewing women across the board because you hear the like more intense like routines and then you hear the people that have young kids where it just cannot be that way. And it's just so much more simple, but there's still things. I would say not getting on your phone has probably been the most common thread. So everyone listening, like if that's like a little hint to you to like not look at your phone first thing, I would say that that's been huge for I think everyone that I've talked to, and I know I feel a difference as well.
Yeah.
Guilty though, for sure, of doing it
It's
all the time in the
hard.
past.
Yeah. Well, especially when you have your own business and you're like, what happened overnight? Like I haven't
Yes.
seen like 8
Is there
hours.
any fires that I need to put out?
Exactly. Is everyone okay?
The
Exactly.
struggle is real. I know that is, I always joke and I like will look at like a barista and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. I'm like, honestly, that sounds amazing to just go to work, make some lattes and leave and just leave it there and like go live life and not your, as you know, your brain probably is constantly like, is everything okay? Is everyone good? How's not only like patients and clients, but how are employees? Are they feeling good? Are they feeling fulfilled? Like it's always like trying to find, I always call it the trifecta of making sure clients are happy, making sure employees are happy, and making sure your business is profitable. So like all of those three things have got to be happening. And it's just, man, it's a juggle, mental juggle all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just quit and do a barista. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Like now I know what
no.
your secret passion is here.
I'm jealous. So that was morning. So what about nighttime? Do you do anything special for winding down? Any self-care things that you do on a regular basis?
Yeah. So we incorporate our kids into this. We have like a very special time where we have the lights off and we use these like special like projectors on the ceiling, and like chamomile essential oils and spa music. And we have like their bath and then reading and singing. And that's like the start of the wind down. I do like a really long, like my thing is my like face routine, and I do lymphatic drainage, like the massage on my face. And just like really like, it's like a self-love sort of like ritual, if you will. Washing my face, doing the lymphatic drainage. And I have just like a little like meditation that's like a wind down end of the day meditation. That I can just play in the background. And then, brush my teeth and then hit the bed. We are so tired. Like, honestly, my husband and I last night went to bed at like 8:30 and we were like, we like don't even have the energy to watch Netflix. Cause like we are like now waking up like 4 times a night. It's just not a good place to be. Like my little one's like waking up to nurse. The other one started to have nightmares, and we're like, so our like initial wind down has changed to what I've described and then hitting the bed. But again, my clients will say like, I'm too busy. And it's like, you can always find ways to incorporate these things into your life. And what better way to then bring in your children if you're busy, like maybe they could use, and by maybe, I mean, they definitely can use that wind down and that reset as well. So, you just make it work.
Yeah, we're teaching them. Yeah, if anyone's listening from Faith's audience, let's just say like no one can fly that excuse by me of I'm too busy. Like absolutely not. Whether it's like eating healthy, I'm like your girl runs a business. I'm in my doctorate program. I have 2 kids. They're very in the age of they're 12 and 9, so they're in the thick of like sports and just taking them to sleepovers and taking them to friends. Like they're doing all these things and have their own life, but I still have to be a chauffeur. So no, it's absolutely possible to still implement self-care 100%. Like that whole, like, I don't have time. That's a big load of crap. We're all busy, but we can make it work. But I love that you bring your kids, because I do think that they pick these things up like so early. And I can totally see your son being like 20 and like having a girlfriend and be like, I need to put on my chamomile essential oil. I need to like wind down. And my son's the same way. Like he has his bougie little things he does that he's picked up from me.
I love it. I know. I always tell him, I'm like, not everybody does this before bed. Like, I'm sure some people are just like chaotically throwing on like dirty pajamas and throwing you in the crib. Whereas I'm like, I like massage his feet with magnesium before bed. And, I'm like, we call it parasympathetic time. My husband did it as a joke because he's always like, you're always saying parasympathetic. And then it's just like actually caught on. And so we're like, it's parasympathetic time. And so it's like, it's the magnesium. He's like, I can't believe I have to massage my baby's feet with magnesium every night. Like, this is so niche. I'm like, it's all part of the ritual.
I love that. So what are you doing for your face? Are you just doing massage? I have been currently loving facial cupping with the little like little tiny cups, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. But do you just use gua sha? Do you use any type of thing?
I have cups from someone called the Facial Cupping Expert.
Cool.
And she has like a set you can buy and then a course, which I did buy, but actually I do love her products, but actually I just use my hands. I just think I prefer it. I'll use her lip one for like lip plumping in the morning sometimes, because I think it's really effective for that. Just kind of like makes them like more red and plump, I guess, for whatever. But I just use my hands, and I use there's a brand I've been talking about on Instagram. I don't work with any brands, but I do talk about things that I love, and it's called Bloom Effects. And it's like, when I say that this that's called the Royal Tulip Nectar, and that's their like lotion, I guess, but it's like a nectar. It doesn't feel like a lotion. Oh my God. Like, it is the best facial product by a landslide I've ever used, ever seen, ever touched, smelled. Like, it is insane. And like, I buy it from the States. It is clean beauty as well. I buy it from the States, and it has like changed my life. And so I use that. And because it almost like feels like an oil on your skin, you can really easily do like lymphatic drainage with, instead of, like just do your actual face routine, put it on top and then do the massage. And you don't have to just like take a separate time to just put oil on, or worry about like your other products not stacking correctly on your face or whatever. Oh my God. I love it so much. I really love it. I talk about it on Instagram all the time, and I'm like, no, I do not work with this brand. I genuinely just want everyone to know about it, because it's like that good of a product. Like, it's just amazing.
Well, now I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. I have to check it out.
You're gonna love it.
All these resources as well that Faith mentions, I'll put in the show notes.
Oh yeah.
With links and stuff. But that sounds amazing. I love that. I am like a little geek on facial stuff, but I think it just depends. Like, if it's just really crazy and I'm exhausted, like you said, like just dropping into bed, don't even have time for Netflix. That's how you know I'm tired as well. I'm just like washing and going, versus like, I'm doing like facial cupping or gua sha, and then doing like, 3 steps. Not that I don't do anything crazy. Like, there are definitely some people I watch on like Instagram and TikTok. I'm like, that's like a 10-step routine. I do not have time for that. I have like, mine's like 3, but still, it just depends on the day.
Yeah, totally.
So you told us a little bit about what you eat in the morning, but kind of give us what you eat in a day. So like, what's your go-tos for lunch, dinner, snacks?
So, right now I'm a very high protein person, because I'm nursing a lot, and obviously I'm starving.
Hungry.
So I generally am like some sort of protein, like literally just like a fish. It depends on the day, but it'll just be like a fish, a chicken, or some sort of red meat, and 2 veggies, something pretty starchy. I'm like kind of high on everything right now. We're keeping it super, super simple and streamlined. So like, we have a really nice service here in the UK where you can order these like dinner packages, but they're from like actual farms. So they're not like, basically crap food. Like, they're food that I would source independently, but you're buying it together in a box. And it's like stuff from Planet Organic, which is kind of like our version of Whole Foods. Everything is organic. Everything doesn't have like any bad oils or anything like that. Well, I don't want to use the word bad, but whatever, you know what I mean? So basically we order that for our dinners. And then my nanny, she preps it while the little one is sleeping. And so this is like one way that we've like been able to ensure, like through a really busy season, that we can continue to stay nourished. And that, when you're tired and you're busy, that is like one of the first things to slip. And so I'm always like encouraging my clients, like, there are always like loopholes, and I know like not everyone has that service, but just kind of like thinking outside of the box, how could I like orchestrate a way to like have like whatever I want to do to nourish my body. So that's typically what I do for dinner. Lunch is something simple. Snacks is like, God, what do I even do for snacks? I don't even know, like a piece of cheese, or like, I know. I was like thinking about today. I think today my mom made these like gluten-free oat bars, like no bake oat bars with like almond butter and a little bit of raw honey, which I had.
That sounds good.
That was really good, but it's kind of like whatever I grab. But the thing is, again, like we just like we like came here, we're like, we're not going to buy anything that isn't like a whole food basically. And so like, it doesn't really make it that easy to just snag something packaged. So it's always just like a bite of something really random. Like yesterday was like feta and tomatoes with salt. I was like, this is what's there. So that's what I'm eating for a snack. So it is always like quite random, but I find that that's like a really effective way to just get into the habit of it,
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, that's also like mom life. I feel like just taking whatever you can get in the middle of it. But I love that. I mean, I'm sure we have something somewhat similar. I mean, I always say time or money. So if you have the time to cook, that's obviously like the best. But if not, then you have to either outsource it by hiring someone to do it for you, or you have to, buy those more slightly more expensive, like meals are already done, but you know, it's going to get food on the table.
Yeah.
So you can't have it either way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I love that. And me too, keeping it simple. I feel like you don't have to get into the whole like Pinterest really in depth, like meals. Like it can be just, even though I know that it's kind of reminds us of like an old macro plan of like, oh, it's sweet potato, chicken, broccoli. But I mean, it can be that. It doesn't have to be hard.
Exactly. I agree. It's just everything's simplified when you're busy.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. So what are two healthy meals? And these can be more complex, like that you absolutely love, you can't live without. You make them maybe on a regular basis. Here we have tacos. That's one of my
Okay. So one, I would say like my husband and I really love to just make like a really good steak with a really good sweet potato and something green, and a glass of wine. Although I'm saying all this stuff like I can do this now. So it's like I'm just so tired. Thinking of wine makes me want to sleep. But like basically in a normal part of life when I don't have a newborn.
yes.
And then also we make a really good homemade spaghetti like bolognese. So we get like actual homemade like noodles from the place next door and make the homemade bolognese with like all sorts of spices. And we started adding like a little bit of raw honey because my midwife, I had obviously Adeline at home and I had a midwife and it was very amazing and awesome. And I built such a good relationship with her and she's a beekeeper. So she like told me all this stuff about honey and she was like, you have to get this kind of raw honey and blah, blah, blah. And so now I've been like incorporating raw honey and like so much because I've like learned so much about honey and it's like so delicious. So I'm like, yeah. And so, yeah, that's pretty much like, my husband is very like meat heavy. So like if it were up to me, like I would do a lot more like colorful, diverse plant. I mean, I love meat as well. But he's like, it just needs to be like 90% meat. And I'm like, okay, well,
I'm with you. I am with you.
with
No, I fully am with you. I'm the same way. If I don't have enough protein, like I can have the like most amazing veggies, like I am just not satiated. Like I am just so protein heavy as well. So I feel like I know you didn't talk too much about exercise yet, but what does that look like in the season of life? Like, how simple is it? Are you still having something a little structured? I think I remember seeing you on Instagram. You were going back to strength training. I know before you were pregnant, you were definitely doing that. I remember seeing that. And I think you might have picked it up, but maybe it changed.
So I've been been doing reformer, which is great. I love it. So I just love it. I enjoy it so much, which is a huge part of like why I've been so consistent with it. But I also do my Peloton sometimes, like if I can't get out and for whatever reason, I'm like, okay, I'll just hop on the Peloton for 30 minutes. I love strength training. I did a lot of it prior to having this baby, but I'm still like, even in reformer, I feel like my pelvis is still like, sometimes it'll be like, okay, this is too much. And it's like still hurting. So I'm like keeping it easy with like low impact, as much as I can until I feel ready to kind of get back into like big gym lifting workouts. But yeah. Oh, and I've been doing some hot yoga, which like I would have never made the time to do before because I'd be like, oh, well, you know, like I just want to like go lift, but like I am enjoying it so much, like zip you up in a hot pod and do tons of essential oils. And then you just like go for it with an instructor and it's amazing. So yeah, I've been doing a little bit of all three.
I feel like I would die. I feel like that would be amazing though, just because I have such a hard time sweating. That's like why we got a sauna in the first place is I need that extra stimulation or it's just really hard for me to sweat. But that sounds intense. I've always wondered, like, how do people do hot yoga?
Yeah. It's so fun.
I love that. Are you doing anything for your like pelvic region? I know since like, are you doing any like therapy or?
Well, I need to be. I have a pelvic floor therapist and she's like, you need to be coming in and doing this. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, to be honest, like everything feels fine. It's just when I like I really like my reformer class and I would literally be going like every day. And then on like the 4th or 5th day in a row, my pelvis is like, ow. So basically I'm like, okay, I guess I do need to make an appointment. I thought I had like kind of gotten away scot-free, but no, but I will be. I do have a pelvic floor therapist. It's just like one of those things that it's like, okay, I've got to book that in.
Well, that's another industry that I feel like has grown tremendously. Like when I was having kids and I was young, I was 2010 when I had Isaiah. So, I mean, no, that stuff like was not around. And now I feel like it's part of postpartum care as it should be. But I'm like, I love that. Like women are just getting a little bit more support postpartum, which they should. We kind of just get that like one appointment, 6-week checkup and you're good to go. And I'm like, pretty sure I just birthed a human out of my vag or via C-section. So I feel like there's a lot more to it than just one appointment.
Literally. Yeah. So much. So
But
intense.
you had a home birth, right?
I
With this
did.
one. It was, I think I remember seeing the picture and it was beautiful.
She was born into a pool of red roses. Like literally when I pulled her up, she just had like red roses on her face. Like, and that is like so indicative of her personality. Like she's just such a little princess. She's so chill. She's like basically not even a human. She just like sits there like smiling. Like she's just such a chill little thing. But yeah, it was a dream. It was totally opposite of my first birth. And I'm still almost like, I can't believe that that happened and like played out so perfectly. And I'm just so grateful for it.
I love that. So what keeps you on track of taking care of yourself and making even the little things a priority when things get really busy, whether, you know, these women that are listening are either entrepreneurs or they're just climbing up the corporate ladder. So I mean, so many things, family stuff comes up, kids get sick. Like, how do you, I guess, pivot or keep up with you? Because we have to take care of us.
I think it's a few things, but like your systems in life and are, I think like the most important part of upholding your identity. So if you identify as someone who takes care of themselves and is healthy or whatever it is you want to achieve, you have to perfect your systems because that's going to help you when you have these like things pop up, like someone gets sick or work gets crazy, you know, or whatever, like a family member needs something. And I think like for me, I'm constantly going back to, okay, like I create monthly goals, 6 months goals and year goals. So I review those weekly. I set like my schedule on the Monday with my intentions. And then I have systems. Everything is a system. For example, dinner's ordered on the previous Sunday and the nanny makes it at 5 whatever o'clock and then it's ready for 6 o'clock. But that's not the only thing that runs on a system. Everything is a subscription. The same groceries every single week get delivered. Everything is streamlined, every single thing, to the point where if I were to like take a, just like my business, if I were to take a step back, yes, you know, like there would be things that I need to do, like if a client needed to directly speak to me, but the business itself would run as a system. And I feel like I've systematized my life in that way. And so I think it's just really important to like, honestly, just to plan, like look at your calendar the week before, create, you know, what needs to be done. What are my intentions behind these tasks? Because that's going to help you ensure that you get it done. And then hold yourself accountable. And it's really difficult because I get people, and I'm sure you're the same way, who are just like, I just can't make myself do it. And then there's an element of discipline because motivation is fleeting. And so it's like, at some point, you're not going to feel motivated because it's not always exciting to like get up and do that thing. And it is hard. You don't feel like it all the time. Yeah. And so the more you discipline yourself and the more disciplined you are, the easier it gets to stay disciplined. Yeah. And so I think it's always the beginning that's hard of like, okay, this is like really, really hard for me right now, but like it does get easier, but it's just about like, if you promise yourself you're going to do something, you have to do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And so it's hard for me to relate to people that like just can't stay disciplined in that sense, because me, I'm like, I don't know, is your why big enough? Like, why are you wanting to be healthier? Like, is it big enough? And my, you know, I desire to live to 100 in great health and avoid chronic disease and just take care of myself and like what I'm eating and moving my body and, you know, mental health and all the things. So I feel like that why is just so big for me that it's a no-brainer. Like you just make it happen. Cause if you don't, then things will fall to the wayside, and everything that I am wanting to avoid, it will come. And so I don't know, that's just a no-brainer to me. So I'm like, okay, is their why not big enough? Do they not understand why they're wanting to do this in the first place? But I'm like you, systems all the way. So my husband, I will give him a credit to my husband. He's kind of taught me that, especially in business, because he's like, I know, you know, in your head it makes sense, but like, yes, if you step away, is it still going to run? And I'd be like, oh, I guess not. And then he'd be like, yeah, exactly. So like put it into the system. So now it's like, that's a part of me as well. But I definitely had someone to kind of nudge me of like, no, you got to figure it out.
I mean, yeah, all these things take so much time to build as well. And I think people procrastinate on it because they're like, I don't want to have to sit down and like worry about it, but it's like, it is like more effort on the front foot, but like it makes it's just like when you hire someone, you have to train them. It's like, yeah, it's more effort now, but like, it's going to be worth it later. It's kind of the same logic, you know?
Yes.
So it is hard to systematize your life, but then it's totally worth it.
Yeah. I definitely think the win towards the end and feeling that relief throughout the week is so worth maybe a little bit more of a hectic Sunday, just trying to plan for the week and, you know, meal plan and just order the groceries and all the stuff. But like throughout the week, I think I do focus more on that of like, oh my God, how good is it going to feel that I did all this? And I can just go through my week more chill and not like running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah.
So love that. Do you have any, I know that you've big reader, listener, what are some of your favorite like self-development, like books or podcasts, social media accounts that you like really loved through like being an entrepreneur, building a business, but also just bettering yourself too?
I would say my favorite podcast is, I really love Catherine Zankina. I don't know if you know the Manifestation Babe podcast.
I think I've heard of it.
She has helped me a lot, especially with her like business referrals. So she referred me to James Wedmore, who's another one of my favorite entrepreneurs to follow. I've worked through his program, Business by Design, which basically like takes you through what you need from start to finish to launch your own 6-figure business. It's so intricate. Catherine Zankina, who owns Manifestation Babe, has a lot of manifestation programs. So she kind of helps align the like the business and systems and processes with the more spiritual human design, getting an alignment piece, which I find is interesting, as well, perhaps could like maybe appeal to the more feminine side. I find that I'm like more like masculine, but I try to lean in more to the feminine. Yeah. So that's been really helpful. And she's referred me to a lot of people, but James Wedmore being hugely influential for me. I love, obviously, like Dr. Joe Dispenza has helped me a lot with my work, and just like, Dr. Bruce Lipton as well, who's a stem cell scientist, and he's helped a lot with the nervous system work that I've done. Joe Dispenza, who's a chiropractor, and has some really insane meditations for nervous system healing and all of that. So these have been some really like influential people. You're right. I am a bit of a like book nerd. So I probably could like looking here, have like about 1,000 things that I've read. But I think if I had to like kind of narrow it down to like the top 4 most influential people, like in the past 2 years for me, those would probably be it.
Nice. Cool. And do you have any other, and I know this will actually go into your program too, because I want you to share it.
Yeah.
Favorite like mental health tools that you've seen work, apps, your program?
apps for, none of them have any apps that I'm aware of. They have like James Wedmore and Catherine Zankina have podcasts that are like kind of like ways to grasp their information, and like webinars and stuff. None of them have apps. I like an app that, so I didn't even download this app. So there's a girl named Mimi who owns an app called the Superhuman app. And she asked me to be on her podcast, and she said, can you download my app so you can basically try it? And I didn't really know that her app was like a really big deal. And it's been amazing for me. I absolutely love her app. It's like daily meditations for basically people who want to be like quote unquote superhuman. So basically think about it as like more like highly motivated and highly successful people who want to be the best version of their self. And she has anywhere from 2-minute reset apps to all night like reprogramming 2-minute reset meditations to all night reprogramming meditations. Wow. And they're all different types of things, like walking meditations, cooking meditations, getting ready meditations on how to become the best version of yourself, how to become your superhuman self. And I find it really helpful for just like quickly getting into alignment. And yeah, I think she's amazing. So that's a really good one as well. Superhuman.
Ooh, cool. Awesome. Well, how can we support you? We appreciate so much taking the time to hang out with us. So where can we find you? How can we support you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can find me at That Healing Feeling on Instagram or TikTok, or my podcast. Or faithashenden.com, which is my website, which obviously has all my information. I have lots of different programs, but my team made a code for anyone listening for my membership. So my membership is basically daily brain training. So if you are someone who has a chronic symptom that you're looking to find relief from with nervous system regulation, brain training is a highly effective way to do that. You can essentially send messages of safety to, different areas of the body and turn down those pain signals. So if anyone's interested, I'll give you the code to add in the show notes, and the link to the Self-Healing Sanctuary, which is my membership. But yeah, I give out loads. Like I basically am on every possible platform talking about ways to heal yourself. So like, if you just like type me, she truly is. There'll be like loads of information about how to heal your nervous system, like just there. So,
oh my gosh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your goodness, and we appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.